discover the first of its kind, the Galileo K-12 online digital curriculum platform, hosted by Assessment Technology Incorporated and presented by Dr. Jason Feld, Vice President of Corporate Projects, and facilitated by myself, Jody Jepson, Senior Marketing Coordinator. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule today to join us. We know everyone's busy, so we appreciate your attendance. Before we begin the presentation, we'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. We would like to encourage you to send in comments and questions during the webinar. We do have a structured question and answer period at the conclusion. So let's take a moment to walk through how to set up the audio and how to submit questions. You may have seen a window pop up asking if you wanted to join the integrated audio conference. If you closed out of that window or did not click OK, please scroll to the top of your screen. A drop-down menu should appear and click the headphone icon. That will activate the audio portion of your WebEx. If you would like to send in a question, use the Q&A function of WebEx. Go back to the top of the screen and click the Q&A icon. A dialog box will appear. You can move this dialog box out of the way during the presentation until you're ready to submit a question. In order to submit a question, you'll want to select all panelists. If you don't see all panelists, use the Ask field drop-down menu, and you will see all panelists here. If the dialog box did not appear, use the drop-down arrow, and in this menu, you will see Q&A. As a note, the host of the presentation today, Dr. Feld, will not be able to answer questions throughout the webinar, but he will take questions at the very end. Also, to let you know that the webinar is being recorded today and will be made available at our website at www.ati-online.com after the presentation today. I see most of the folks have joined already. I think it's about time to start our presentation. Again, we appreciate your attendance, and please allow me to introduce Dr. Jason Feld.
Thank you, Jody, and good morning and good afternoon to all our participants, wherever you may be, and welcome to the ATI webinar series. Over the past year or so, the number one priority that we've been discussing with school districts and charter schools across the several states we serve is the development of new technology that fully integrates a balanced, standards-aligned, research-supported assessment and reporting system with a robust multimedia digital curriculum platform that can be used to develop, deliver, and manage high-quality instruction and promote student learning across all subject areas. To the Galileo Digital Curriculum Platform. The platform is completely integrated within the Galileo K-12 Online Instructional Improvement and Effectiveness System and is being released this spring for implementation. Before we begin, I want to express my personal thanks to all the school districts and charters that we've been working with over the past year who have provided us with input into the development of the platform. Your comments and your guidance is greatly appreciated, and we hope to continue working with you directly as we evolve the digital curriculum moving forward. I wanted to talk first about some of the unique features of the integration that make it possible for school districts to clearly and finally tie assessment and reporting directly to curriculum development and high-quality instruction. And there are a few that I've listed here. The first is that the integration of the digital curriculum within Galileo makes it possible for school districts to take advantage of advanced statistical techniques to measure student learning and growth over time, to integrate assessment within the context of instruction and curriculum, and to measure instructional impact on student learning. The second benefit of this integration is that it allows for multi-level differentiated instruction tied directly to curriculum. And this includes instruction at the skill level, the concept level, the standards mastery level, and the pattern of progress levels. The third benefit of this integration is that there is a complete alignment with state standards, whether you're in Arizona, California, Colorado, Massachusetts, any state in the nation where we're serving school districts and charters, the digital curriculum platform allows for that integration directly with the state standards. The next benefit is the advantage of having a very streamlined online approach to curriculum creation and revision, as well as the delivery of a multimodal, multimedia instructional approach to both teaching and to learning. As those of you who are already implementing Galileo, you already know that the dashboards designed in the system are available for teachers, students, parents, and administrators. With the inclusion of the digital curriculum platform, there will be even more information available to educators, parents, and students so that they can link directly to instruction as well as assessment. One of the major features of the digital curriculum platform is its adaptability as well as its agility. What that means is that the platform is always going to be responsive to changing needs over time, advances in research and technology, and changes in education. The last point I want to make here is that because the digital curriculum is directly embedded within Galileo K-12 Online, you have the advantage of using all the item banks within the Galileo system, and that includes item banks for creating formative, benchmark, summative, pre-post, and then, of course, assessments tied directly with your curriculum and your instructional goals. With this in mind, our goal for today is to provide you with a first look at the platform and its integration within Galileo, and we're also going to share with you some of the upcoming innovations that will be incorporated into the platform over the next few months. As we go through the digital curriculum platform, I'd like you to think about one question and perhaps even send us a note or a text today in response to that. And that question is this: what is your greatest challenge in terms of implementing a digital curriculum platform or a curriculum in general in your agency, and what types of things would you like to see happening as technology evolves to create a strong linkage between the delivery of curriculum and delivery of assessment within one integrated system? We're going to now turn directly to Galileo and start to walk you through the digital curriculum platform. Where we are right now is on the teacher's dashboard within the system. And what I want you to notice at this point is on the upper left-hand side, there is a new widget which is called Digital Curriculum Explorer. That is where curriculum that is developed by a district is housed and directly disseminated to all the teachers in the district. The other widgets, most of you who are currently implementing Galileo should be somewhat familiar with, but I'll walk through them briefly with you. Any events that you schedule within your digital curriculum now will in fact appear in upcoming events. Any events that you have scheduled and completed will in fact show up in recent events. Any information related to assessment tied to your digital curriculum, and again, as I said earlier, those can be your customized benchmark assessments, your formative assessments. That data will also show up under recent events, and it will also show up under the widgets that report out for you information on student learning, growth, and development. We're not going to get into these widgets directly today. Our primary focus is on digital curriculum, but the point I want to make here is that right on the teacher's dashboard, the digital curriculum is now deployed so that there is a direct relationship between instruction, assessment, and the provision of learning opportunities for students. If we take a close look at the Digital Curriculum Explorer, what you will see here now is an illustration of how curriculums would show up on the teacher's dashboard. And in this example, you can see we have scheduled curriculums that have been built in by the district for the area of mathematics. Of course, we can cover any particular area, mathematics, English language arts, science, and any subject area that you care to imagine that you want to have a curriculum for. You'll also notice in here that those particular curriculums are organized into units, And those units, in fact, are scheduled. So, for example, you're seeing a curriculum framework that occurs September 1 through the 29th, and that is building addition and subtraction fluency. If we scroll down a little bit, you'll see a curriculum framework number 4, fraction and measurement. We're going to spend our time today on the unit that has to do with fraction and measurement concepts and drill deeply down into this particular unit. So the teacher, for example, simply clicks on that unit, and what will show up will in fact be the curriculum that has been built by the district in the digital curriculum platform. So I kind of want to show you the end result and then take you back through the process of the digital curriculum. In this example here, you can see that the particular unit has been assigned for a certain date. And you'll also notice that it is organized the way the district likes to see its curriculum organized, including big ideas and essential questions. That is then followed by priority and supporting standards. The thing I want to point out here is that these standards are not written in. They're actually captured by grabbing them and dropping them directly into the unit, and we'll show you that a little bit later. The really cool thing about putting the standards in the way we've designed it is that they are then linked directly to assessment, directly to instructional dialogues, directly to external materials such as Khan Academy or other external materials that you might want to include in your curriculum, and any other resources that might be important. As we continue down, we have another example of a district putting priority standards in the way that they like to do it by domain, cluster, standard, focus, and resources. All the resources within this file for the teacher have URL links that the district has identified, so if the teacher would click on any of those, they would actually get examples of how to deliver these particular types of standards as part of instruction. As we continue further down here, this particular district has identified the learning targets related to those standards and also indicated the depth of knowledge level for those learning targets. As we continue further down, you can see the district also put in supporting standards, and these would be standards that are not necessarily priority standards, but standards that would also support the learning of the priority standards. We're seeing key vocabulary as a component of this digital curriculum, as well as instructional strategies and suggestions. As we continue down this unit, this particular district was very interested in including any possible student misperceptions that might occur as the student learns these particular standards, as well as the common formative assessments that they're going to include with this unit for scheduling. And of course, you can see the links are right in the unit to those assessments. I'm going to show you a number of different ways this morning in terms of how those links get created, but this is just kind of one example. The last piece I want to show you here are all the resources that a district put in and an explanation of those resources. Again, these are all hyperlinks, and the important point to make here is that everything is in fact housed, embedded, if you will, directly into this unit plan created in Galileo. So the teacher has direct access to all the information that she or he needs in order to build out learning plans and to design instruction for the students. In addition to that, we also make it possible for districts and charter schools to right up front recommend instructional dialogues that could be used to promote standards in a particular unit. We've just put a few in here. The nice thing about putting dialogues directly into a unit is that if in fact you want to see as a teacher which standards those dialogues are designed to support, all the teacher has to do is click once and she or he can see exactly what's going on. In addition to that, a teacher may want to preview a dialogue, and in order to preview a dialogue, all the teacher simply needs to do is take a look at that, and they can actually move to the dialogue and identify what in fact that dialogue is designed to occur. And again, the thing I want to point out here in terms of this being a way to deal with multimedia and a multimodal approach to curriculum development and instruction is that those dialogues make it possible for you to reach out beyond the walls of your district to basically anywhere in the universe, as they say, to pull in resources, whether they be links on the internet or anywhere else that can be tied directly to the standards that you are interested in providing instruction for. So there's a lot of flexibility here in terms of pulling in both instructional dialogues as well as resources into the system. You'll notice also down below we can add teacher resources beyond the dialogues. We're going to go over those in a little while, but I do want to point out to you that one of the ways we can also communicate with you directly, and you communicate with teachers, is to provide information that helps them use the entire digital curriculum platform. So, for example, I'm simply going to click on item counts as example embedded in this district's digital curriculum, and what it will bring up for you is just basic information. This is specific to Arizona, but it would apply across any state. So in this instance, we're simply providing an update through the digital curriculum in terms of what item content is available that's aligned, in this case, to the Arizona College and Career Ready standards. The same can be done pretty much in any state, including information about the number of technology-enhanced items that are now in the system that can be used as a part of instruction and assessment within the digital curriculum platform. And you'll note that that number is quite large at this point. It's approaching 11,000 technology-enhanced items alone. The other information you can put in is information that helps the teacher to understand the kinds of assessment items that are currently available in the system that can be used for benchmark assessments and formative assessments. And finally, just to keep everybody that we're working with now up to speed, we've just embedded in this particular digital curriculum information about the progress we are making as an organization in serving our school districts and charters in adding content to the system. One of the nice things about the integration of the digital curriculum platform within Galileo is that it is quite dynamic. The amount of instructional content that is available for teachers to use is constantly increasing. The amount of items that can be available for teachers to use is constantly increasing. So while it is a platform of building curriculum, it's also a platform that's amassing and organizing a tremendous amount of resources, both for instructional purposes as well as for assessment purposes. So having given you a quick look of the end product that actually sits on the teacher's dashboard, I'm now going to jump over to the way in which we work with school districts to build out the digital curriculum platform. In order to do that, we're just going to go ahead and reset the application for a second and go into the digital curriculum builder. So if you'll hold on with us for a sec, we'll do that. You'll notice right here on the upper right-hand side of your Galileo system, there's a menu that's called Digital Curriculums. All we're going to do is simply click on that. And once we click on the digital curriculums, it will refresh, and it will show you the interface where, in fact, you actually build out digital curriculums. You'll note here that we put some examples in for English language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies. We are going to remain focused just on the illustration that was built in for mathematics. One question that typically comes up when we talk with school districts and charters is, can I take the curriculum that we've already created and that may be sitting in part in a PDF file, in a Word file, an Excel file, or any place throughout the district, can we in fact pull all the work that we've done already together and embed it directly into the platform? The short answer to that is yes, and I'm going to kind of walk you through how that is typically done. So right now we are in the digital curriculum builder, and fundamentally building out a digital curriculum involves two major steps: setup and the development of units. So all we've done right here is create a title for our curriculum called Unified School District. This particular curriculum is for the 3rd grade. You'll note that we put our logo in here, but the point here is that you can put your school district's logo in or your charter logo in there so that there's a sense of ownership when it's actually pushed out to the teachers in your district. But once we put that basic information in, we are now in an area where we're actually building out units. You'll notice here in this first box called Units, we can create a new unit, we can copy one, or we can in fact delete it. We built in several example units here related to third grade mathematics, and you can see we simply name them. And once we've named them, we then go down to the next tier here, where we can actually build out the entire unit, moving from the general information, which we already have in, to detailed slides, to the linkage to standards, to the linkage to instructional materials, and to assessments. And that's the process we're going to kind of walk you through here. So in this particular example, for fraction and measurement concepts for the third grade, you'll notice that the duration of this unit is 23 days, and you totally control that. You can put attachments in if you like. That could be links to resources or professional development information for the teachers, or great ideas that they may want to use. But again, you control that as you build out the curriculum. The first area that we put in here is simply called Big Ideas and Essential Questions. And if you simply scroll down within this text box, as you can see, we can copy something that's already written, or you can use this interface to actually put your big ideas and essential questions in. Now we're going to jump over to the detailed slides piece. And what I want to point you to here now is that we are in fraction and measurements. And you'll notice on the left slide there are a series of labels here: priority standards, learning targets, supporting standards, key vocabulary. These are the different components of this particular curriculum unit. The point I want to make is that you can create any component for your curriculum unit with this interface and put any information in that you want. We're just using this as an example. So, as you see here, if we click on priority standards, you'll note that what I've done here is actually grab something that was already created by a school district in a Word file and move it directly into Galileo, so it's now interactive with all the other components of the system. If I click on key vocabulary, you'll note that that widget contains all the information related to key vocabulary. If I click on curriculum framework resources that a school district may already have, as you can see, those resources are now sitting in Galileo, and of course they're all hyperlinked. So all that information that might have been sitting somewhere else, not directly tied to standards or assessment or other materials, is now integrated directly within one area of the system. The next piece I want to go to is standards. This is the area where school districts, charters actually identify the standards that are going to be covered by the particular unit. And you'll see here we just have Arizona standards, but if you are in Colorado, you would see Colorado standards. If you were in Massachusetts, you would see Massachusetts standards. If you were in Washington, you'd see Washington State standards. If you were in California, and so on and so forth. So the platform itself is already, if you will, pre-wired for school districts in particular states, so that a lot of the heavy lifting that you would normally do in building out and maintaining your curriculum is already being done for you by the technology. In terms of adding the standards that you want to include in a particular unit, all you have to do is simply grab the standard of interest and slide it over to the area that you call targeted standards. It's not a matter of having to search, cut and paste, or rewrite. And again, as you can see, all we simply do is we click on search for standards, and again, in this case, we have all the Arizona standards in here. And the point I want to make, which I made earlier on, is that this is a digital curriculum platform, not simply for state-tested areas in English, language arts, math, and science. It's a digital curriculum platform for all subject areas. Once we have the standards in, that allows us to link any instructional material, any instructional dialogue within the Galileo, and any resource directly to a standard. So you'll see here now on this next slide where we're looking for instructional materials, we have on the right the standards that have been identified for that unit, and you'll notice on the left, as soon as those standards have been identified, materials that are already available in the system, and in this case some instructional dialogues, are made immediately available for the curriculum team to select from. and include in the unit, if you will, as starters for the teachers, as suggestions for the teachers. The teachers, of course, when they actually build out their learning plans, are going to grab and share their own resources, but we want to make sure that the educators in a district or a charter have a great jump start on information so that they are focused on actually planning learning opportunities for the students as opposed to searching around the universe to find those learning opportunities. And again, here you can view any of these resources by clicking the View button, and you in fact can delete any of these resources by clicking the Delete button. The other component of resources is when we click on Other Resources. You'll note here that again, the standards still show up, and resources that you have identified as a district beyond what's even in Galileo show up here. So example, in this particular instance, you're seeing a Word doc, you're seeing a PDF file, you're seeing an Excel spreadsheet, and you're seeing some other information that in fact are tied directly to the standards of interest. You can also search for resources by simply typing in a keyword. So 2 points to make here. One is that the relationship between standards-based education and the selection of resources to promote standards-based education happens in real time directly on this interface. And the addition of materials, whether they be in dialogues or PDF files or Word files or Excel spreadsheets or any other external resources, the example I gave earlier is resources perhaps from even Khan Academy, if you're using a lot of STEM resources, can be embedded directly within the unit plan and available and aligned directly to standards. So far what we've done is we've named the unit, we've scheduled the unit in terms of the number of days, we've put our data elements to the unit in there, priority standards, key concepts, and so forth. We've linked it to instructional materials, and the final piece now is to tie it all together with assessments that are designed to measure student learning, both in the formative sense in the classroom, what teachers will do on a regular basis, as well as district-wide assessments that you will be using to actually predict performance on high-stakes tests and do differentiated instruction at levels that go beyond the classroom. That piece of the curriculum occurs right here. So basically what you're seeing here are now the assessments that would currently be available for the district to use, and in this case you're seeing some examples of benchmarks and some examples of formatives. But just like the search for materials that support instruction, the same tools are available for assessment. So we happen to be in a classroom now, or we could be in a district, and we have available to us all the assessments that would be useful in measuring the standards that are part of that unit. Just like the resources and the standards, we simply select one, drop, and drag it right over, and now that becomes part of the unit and available on the teacher's dashboard for her or him to use as a part of instruction. The nice thing about Galileo is that it is already preloaded with formative assessments. These are short 5 to 10 item quizzes aligned to the standards. Those of you that have been working with us for years know that we're building out benchmarks, pre and post assessments, summatives, and the courses. So all those assessments now are directly connected to your curriculum through the digital curriculum platform. So once that is all completed, we now actually end up with a complete unit that can be propagated immediately to everybody in the school district simply by scheduling it, and that's why it appears on the Digital Curriculum Explorer on the teacher's dashboard. And every time you make a change in the platform, as soon as you save that, that is available to everybody in the school district. So communication on the curriculum end of your world is both immediate and current, as opposed to trying to push stuff out through means that would not connect your curriculum changes directly to your instructional materials and your balanced assessment program. So having said all that, I want to circle back around and take a look again now at the final illustration unit that was created using this process. So we're simply going to click on Preview again, and now you'll note here that all the units that I put in initially and their duration do show up here. Of course, we've shrunk them down because we want to go to the illustration that we have today, but now this should communicate to you what the end result is of the work we just did in the Digital Curriculum Builder. Our big ideas, our essential questions, our priority standards that we put in by using the drop and drag feature, putting in any other information that might have already been available to the district, but now you want to integrate it fully into your balanced assessment and reporting system, along with the links that is showing up here. And of course, finally, all the resources, including instructional dialogues. So in a nutshell, the building and support of a digital curriculum platform occurs by simply and literally moving through that linear process. We are working with a number of districts now to take the curriculum that they've already built and start to embed it in the system. I know some of you are actually participating today, so again, for all of us at ATI, I want to thank you very much for the input and guidance you've given us. This is in fact a work in progress, and the nice thing about building this is that we're building this really in partnership with the districts and charters that we work with, and so we certainly appreciate your input. What I want to do now is take you to the next step in the digital curriculum platform, and this is the component that we will now be putting in place over the next few months, which ties the development of the unit plan directly to what happens in the classroom when the teacher plans instruction. So we're simply going to go ahead and click on the resource link that says My Plan 1 here, and we'll open that in another window so you can take a look at it, and we'll expand it for you a little bit. So at the end of the day, once the curriculum is in fact built out, when the teacher opens up her area on the dashboard, she or he will in fact see all the assessments that are currently available. There'll be a place for the teacher to actually add the assessments to her or his lesson plan and any other assessments. And then under the widget called My Plans, this will allow the teacher to schedule both instruction and assessments directly from the digital curriculum unit that was created to help guide instruction. The next interface I want to show you here is really My Plan 2, and these are just integrated components of what the teacher is going to see. When a teacher goes in again to the same interface, she or he will see all the components of the digital curriculum directly on the left side. So in this example, this is actually one we borrowed from one of our partners in Colorado as an example. You can see some of the information here that the district put in, and you can see how we're starting to organize this in terms of the teacher's My Plans. Right now, this teacher has 3 materials in, cutting shapes into equal parts. She has actually another PowerPoint in here, Fractions of Fun, and a PDF file, Fractions Game Instructions, and also an assessment, formative assessment schedule. But again, this My Plan component is where the teacher actually builds out her lessons for the student. I'll go into My Plan 3 to give you another look of what's coming in the next couple of months. This is an example where the teacher can actually go in, just like the curriculum developers do in a district or a charter, and start to populate her component of the system with all the resources. And you'll notice here that they're not just resources sitting in libraries, they're resources that are actually organized by the standards that they are designed to help develop in the student. So the organizational structure of the platform occurs not only for the curriculum developer, but also for the teacher. So we're trying to make the teacher's life, if you will, a little bit easier in taking all the technology that's out there and kind of putting it together in one neat bundle. The last interface that we'll show you here is kind of the My Plan almost completed. And you can see the standards appear, the unit materials appear for the teacher. If the teacher wants to add any additional materials, they're there. And then finally, My Plan. When this is created, the dashboard that we initially looked at in terms of upcoming events, recent events, and the teacher's calendar automatically gets populated this information. So again, we're basically looking at a 2-step process. The construction of the curriculum, from scratch, if that's where you're at, or in fact from taking what you're already using and putting into this integrated platform, and then the teacher's immediate use of this information to guide lesson planning instruction. The major goal here, again, is to fully integrate what has historically been separate pieces, or pieces that kind of sit in silos that don't talk to each other. Assessment, reporting, curriculum development, instruction, and the measurement of student learning as it relates to, in fact, the instruction that has been provided. I want to jump now to the new K-12 student parent center side of the system to show you how the digital curriculum platform is integrated there as well. So in this instance, we're not logging on as an administrator or a curriculum developer or a teacher. We're actually logging in as a student, and we're in the K-12 student parent center. You'll note, first of all, that everything that would have been scheduled through the use of the digital curriculum platform and my plan now appears for the student in terms of lessons, assessments, and assignments that are color-coded and information about all events. You'll also note that those events built out through the digital curriculum platform and the lesson plans will appear on the student's calendar. And I'll give you a couple examples of these. You might have noticed that, in fact, we had added within the digital curriculum platform an instructional dialogue that is, in fact, tied directly to a standard that's supposed to be covered in a unit. So we'll go ahead and we'll click on this one as a student. And when we click on it, as a student, we'll go back one. You want to go ahead and re-log in? We're just going to log back in, and then we'll go back to it. Okay, so we're back, and sorry for that. We just had that open, so we're kind of timed down on this a bit. So we're going to go ahead and click on that particular dialogue. There are a few things I want to point out here. The first is that this particular dialogue is showing up for the student because, one, it was part of the development of the unit, it was tied to a standard, and it was scheduled by the teacher as part of the lesson plans. And the interactivity here now is that through the platform and through the dialogue, not only does the student have the opportunity to learn and practice, but you'll notice on the right side, under the heading Whiteboard, the teacher now has a direct way to communicate with the student in terms of instruction, so that the ability to actually interact beyond the classroom walls, some like to refer to that as blended learning opportunities, or the ability to communicate with students right in the classroom if they're on their own devices and engaging in this, can happen in real time, and the student can also, in fact, take notes on his or her dialogue. So we'll just go through a couple of slides here so you get a feel for how assigning these within the digital curriculum platform makes it available for the students. And again, we also want to show you that, in fact, just as we're doing within the digital curriculum platform, we're not conceptualizing assessment and curriculum as two-dimensional, but rather three-dimensional. So here again, we can create, or you can create actually, links to other resources that go beyond Galileo to your favorite sites that provide instruction aligned with the standards. All this happens simply because it was built into the digital curriculum platform. The next thing I want to show you on this interface related to the platform has to do with the results that we obtain once all these assessments that you're seeing here are scheduled for the students. So we're going to go ahead and log back in again here. And this time, instead of looking at instruction, we're going to look at the results of assessments that are tied directly to what was scheduled in the digital curriculum platform. So we're just going to scroll down here a little bit, and you'll notice that at this point, we'll just refresh this. You'll notice at this point, all the assessments that were scheduled within the digital curriculum platform are showing up for the student and for the parent In the case of the information on the left side, we're seeing the results of benchmark pre- and post-assessments that are running the IRT model, which most of you are familiar with. And again, the importance of running an IRT-based assessment approach, which in a digital curriculum platform, is that it allows the district or the charter to go beyond instruction that's simply at the skill level or the concept level. It actually allows you to look at student growth at the mastery level and the pattern of progress level. And of course, here you'll notice on the left side, the student can in fact look at how he or she is doing on these assessments relative, if you like, to other students, and you can very quickly change whatever subject area you're looking at to look at another, student can look at another assessment result simply by clicking on that, and that will populate for the student. If we scroll down a little bit more, you'll also notice that the dashboard hooked into the new digital curriculum platform will in fact provide information on all the assessments that have been scheduled through the units in the platform and administered, both formative assessments as well as benchmark assessments. And there's even a search capability that we've now put in there. So if you simply, as a student, type benchmark in there or type math in there, it will bring up those assessments that are related directly to that. The last piece I kind of want to show you here on this interface has to do with information that teachers are able to now communicate through the digital curriculum platform in Galileo directly to the students. So if we simply click on Files, that's the area where, in fact, if the teacher is scheduling instruction, wants to provide information directly to the student and parent, they can, from within Galileo, push that information out to the student. And as you can see here, there are a number of files that are created. One in particular that I'll share with you is this particular district is working with the student to actually build an individual learning plan within Galileo. So if we simply click on an individual learning plan, you can see, in fact, that this is starting to be created by the teacher and the student within Galileo. The last piece I want to show you here kind of circles back around to the discussion we had earlier about tying the digital curriculum platform not only to reporting and the selection of resources, but also the vast number of items that are being built out in the ATI item banks that are tied to Common Core, and that can be used directly from instruction. So we're going to go ahead and jump to a quick interface here so I give you guys a flavor of this. Now keep in mind, these are key items that we're just going to show you that cut across grades. They're designed to align to both PARCC requirements, smarter balance requirements, AZ Common Core requirements, and pretty much whatever you're seeing in technology enhanced items. We'll just go through a few of them for you. This particular one allows the students to actually click on the digits that provide the correct answer. We're going to move through these pretty quickly for you. This next one actually allows the student to use our drop-down technology. And keep in mind, the reason I'm sharing these items with you now is because when you're building out assessments within a digital curriculum platform, you now have an opportunity to build out assessments that have all these really cool technology-enhanced items that allow students to actually engage both in learning and in assessment that goes beyond what you've typically seen in terms of the standard multiple choice. So we're just going to jump through a few of these so you get a flavor for them and how they interact. If you guys want to see more of this stuff, as you know, you can just give us a call and you'll see those interactions. We'll go through a few more here. Some of these I actually can't do, but then again, I was raised in another time. This is an example where we're actually showing text on the left and multiple correct responses on the right. In this case, we're actually creating hyperlinks within the test. This item is designed to actually provide more detailed information for the student. We'll continue along here with some examples of some of the drop-down technology. This is one where we can actually highlight words. This is where we're using our advanced HTML5 technology to create items that allow students to not only interact with items, but also then respond to the item as they're moving through it using the tools in the system. We'll continue along here. As I said earlier, our goal here is not simply to provide the platform of digital curriculum that deals with the state-tested areas, but also non-state tested areas. So here you're seeing some examples of science. We'll just continue along here. This is, of course, a fine-looking gentleman that we just saw. This one, again, we're involved in science and the students interacting with this particular item. We just put up here so that you're aware of it, the calculator function. So even though a calculator won't apply to this item, you can see the calculator is there. We basically have 3 calculators in the system at this point that can be used both for instructional purpose and assessment purposes, and that includes your basic calculator. It includes your scientific calculator and your drafting calculator. Here's, we'll just go back one. I kind of jumped ahead too quickly here. Here's an example of another interactive item where we're asking the student to actually make a graph and label the graph correctly. We'll go forward here. This is an example of an item, a multi-part item that has to do with English language arts. And again, keep in mind that the item intentionality here is not just simply to put them on assessments, but also to include them as you develop your digital curriculum within Galileo and provide form of assessments that are tied directly to standards and part of instruction. So assessment really takes on a whole new life within the digital curriculum platform. Its assessment really is a part of the instructional process in addition to its more traditional role, which is to actually evaluate the impact of the instructional process. You'll also notice here that we've put in many of the features that allow the students to work with written text within an item. We'll just continue along to a few more here so you get a flavor for that. This is one where we have a 2-part item and the student is actually not only responding to a question but actually crafting a response. So we're getting into a DOK level that's much harder than simply selecting an item choice. Here are some examples of items that we actually make audio for students. These are at the very young ages right now. If we simply click on the play button, I don't know if you'll hear it, but we'll go ahead and do it.
Listen to the sentence. I ran very fast because I was in a rush to get to school. What does the word rush mean? Stop. Happy. Hurry.
Okay. And we'll move on to one other item now to give you a different flavor of the audio capability of the system.
Look at the numbers. Look on the number 5.
Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I wanted you to get a flavor of the technology-enhanced items that are in the system. The critical point here is that these items are not simply just used for assessment. They can be embedded in instructional dialogues as part of the digital curriculum platform, and they can be used as resources for the teacher when she or he is building out their lesson plans based on the unit plans that have been developed by the district. So what I'm going to do right now is stop and give you guys a chance to breathe on the other end. And I think, Jody, we're going to pause for some questions.
Yes, it's question and answer time. I sent you some of the questions that the attendees have been answering.
Okay. Oh, God, there's a lot of them. Okay.
So if we can't get to all of the questions, up privately after the webinar. Thank you for all your input.
All right, let me, I'll try to answer a few here. I'm just answering them in the order that they came in, so I'll start. This is a common question, so I'll go ahead and answer it. Will it cost more to use the digital curriculum platform? Keep in mind what I said earlier, our goal here at ATI is to create a fully integrated system, which means moving away from the silo approach of separate technology that somehow has to be connected to technology that connects everything. So the short answer to your question is the digital curriculum platform is embedded in Galileo. It's a part of Galileo, just like the item banks that I shared with you a little while ago are part of the system. So no, there is no additional cost. If you're using Galileo, this is going to be showing up on your dashboards. The next question is, can we move our current curriculum materials into the system? Short answer, yes. One of the things that we've heard from districts that we've visited with directly and when we've spoken with their curriculum directors, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is that their materials either tend to be in another application that they've been using previously, or they're housed in different files in different places. We can, in fact, show you, as hopefully I demonstrated here, how to pretty quickly bring what you're already working with directly into the system, reorganize it in a way that we think will add value to the work you've already done, but also kind of make life easier for you as you go forward. So the short answer to that is yes. Next question, will it be possible to use the curriculum to evaluate the impact of our instructional materials on student learning? That's an easy one. The answer is yes. The whole point, or one of the major points in being able to create an integrated system between curriculum and assessment is that, in fact, you do have an opportunity to ask the question, is, in fact, what we did, what we planned, what we purchased in terms of adopted textbooks or other materials, is that really have an impact on student learning? The fact that you have a very robust assessment system, that's, those of you that work with us know, is guided by a pretty industrial strength research program, actually makes it possible for you to really answer that question. This one, how do we begin using it? I think the first thing to do is just go ahead and give us a holler. What we would like to do is kind of find out where you're at, what you're currently using. Remember my original question early on in this webinar is, what is your biggest challenge? I'm sure you have at least one challenge in terms of moving, using your current curriculum or moving more completely into the digital age and making life easier for yourself. So part of answering that question is really finding out from you what your needs are and what your goals are. And we're always available to chat about it, and we certainly welcome the opportunity. The other question that came in, I am a K-6 math interventionist and do not have my own classroom. Do I have to use an established teacher's class to build curriculum for the entire district? The answer to that question is no, you do not have to use an established teacher's class to build a curriculum for the district. You're actually building the curriculum, the nuts and bolts of it, at the district level, and then it's propagated out to everybody. So it's simply a matter of you being able to have the login and password access. So the short answer to that is yes. Next question is there a way for a special ed teacher and an interventionist can ask their own classroom, can ask their own question and impact the students we work with from the special ed teachers list so those students are in both classrooms? If I understand the question correctly, the answer is you can create an intervention group within Galileo. There are a number of ways to do that. And in fact, you can plan using the digital curriculum planner. You can plan instruction for that intervention group, administer assessments to that intervention group, and actually monitor that. See, I have another question here. Is there an auto component of the dialogue so our low readers can access the curriculum? We do have some, if I understand the question again, and if I don't, please give us a call and we'll try to answer it in more detail. There is an auto component in terms of the dialogues being automatically connected to the standards that are of interest. And in the case of your low readers, all you really have to do is schedule those dialogues for those students, and will be available for them in the K-12 Student Parents Center. Oh God, there's a bunch more. Okay, I know, Jody, how are we doing on time here?
Just a minute or two.
Okay, so there are a bunch of other questions that came in. I will personally respond to them and get that information out to you guys. If you do have questions for us, please do not hesitate to call. I believe Jody gave you a number. Again, I just want to close by saying we are very excited about what we believe, and certainly many of the districts that we spoke with over the last several months, really a first of its kind, where there is this full integration between standards, assessment, reporting, curriculum that's kind of sitting in one system and is designed at the end of the day to really empower students as learners, empower teachers as educators, and empower parents as partners. So we're pretty excited about it. We're going to be continuing to meet with folks throughout the upcoming months, both here in Arizona and other states. But again, from all of us here at ATI, we want to thank you for partnering with us, for working with us to build this out. We're very excited about it, and we look forward to working with you guys as we go forward. And have a great week.
This concludes our webinar today. We thank you for your participation and your comments and questions throughout this morning. A recording of the webinar will be sent in a follow-up e-blast to all those who have registered. It will also be available on our website at www.ati-online.com. Again, we appreciate your time today, and we hope that you found that the 8 key points of the digital curriculum platform useful. If you are interested in a personal demonstration, you can make the request with one of our field service coordinators by contacting us at 1-800-367-4762 or 1-877-442-5453. You can email us directly at galileoinfo@ati-online.com. or you can go ahead and search to our website. We have lots of different options there. Again, thank you for your participation today, and don't forget to follow us on our Facebook page. Thank you.